Rudi Dames, the Director of Rugby at Pretoria Boys. The last time we interviewed Rudi, he was Glenwood's first team rugby coach down in Durban. Rudi, thanks for joining us in Pretoria.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's get stuck into it. Obviously, you were a very successful coach with Glenwood's first team. You won the Sanix youth tournament last year, and now you find yourself in Pretoria. How did that come about?
Look, I think the opportunity of the Director of Rugby at Boys High came up. I think it was also time for me for a new challenge. I've been at Glenwood where I enjoyed every single year, but I've been there for 12 years, coached the first side for 12 years. I believe as a coach you need to challenge yourself. What bigger challenge there is, to come in and try and help Pretoria Boys High get back to where they were.
When you arrived, Pretoria Boys, for lack of a better phrase, has been struggling with their rugby program for a few years now. I mean, first losses to schools like St. Benedict's, continued losses against Kes. What did you identify that needed to change?
Look, I think the most important thing when I started here this year, the rugby chat amongst the schoolboys were negative. So I think the most important thing was to get it back positive. So I've been fortunate enough to have two brilliant first team coaches in Mr. Rust and Mr. De Kock. We started the pre-season and we worked well together. I think from that the boys saw there's a new energy in the first team camp, and I think word and mouth was our best advertising, and the boys were really looking forward to supporting their first team this year, and I think that was the most important thing for us, is to make sure we get the pride back in the Candies jersey.
Pretoria Boys has been accused of not changing with the times, having scholarships, for lack of a better word, buying players, having a more professional way of going about schoolboy rugby. And although it is still schoolboy rugby, because other schools have implemented this, it's made it much harder to be competitive against them. Your thoughts on this?
Look, I think it's always going to be a big challenge. We at Glenwood, we had a lot of bursaries that we can hand out. So I think the most important thing, and I think in schoolboy rugby, that it's gone professional. And I think maybe there's a question mark there. I think I actually chatted to Warren Whiteley yesterday, which I coached in 2006, and he said, him speaking to the under-19 Lions boys and whatever, he realizes that there's a lot of pressure on schoolboys playing rugby. He said he's still in it for the right reasons. I think the most important thing is to keep a balance. I think it's always going to be a challenge for Pretoria Boys High because we don't give scholarships, and I think we're always a step behind maybe, but I think if we really work hard, I think it's something that we can change.
What is your role as Director of Rugby? What do you do?
I think the most important thing for me as Director of Rugby is to make sure that we create a good rugby structure in Pretoria Boys High. And I'm not talking just about the A sides. I think it's important to let the school have a blueprint of what type of style we want to play. So for me it's important, I always ask the question, what will a Pretoria Boys High rugby player be known for if he goes, after school into varsity or into a provincial setup? So I think it's important for us to get a brand of rugby that we want to play, and obviously, like anybody, we would like to make it as attractive as possible, but we need to make sure that we upskill the boys to be able to do that.
The immediate step up from Craven Week is playing for the SA Schools team. We had a very poor season this year, losing all three matches against Wales, France and England. Why would you think that's the case?
Look, for me, firstly, just looking at the selection, I think they picked the guys on form. I really think, I was at the Craven Week, I really think that they picked the right players. I think the problem with the SA School side will always be, the sides of England and France, their preparation, they've got a lot more preparation time. They play in the Six Nations, in the under 26 Nations, so they squat for longer. I think our biggest problem is our boys leave on the Sunday. They've got a week, the coaches got a week to prepare them, and then they're up for the first test. So I think preparation-wise, we'll always be lacking. I think maybe it's something that they need to look into and give the coaches more preparation time.
Rudi, Game On Media would like to thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.